CBS News senior national security analyst Fran Townsend was Homeland Security and Counterterrorism Advisor of President George W. Bush. Fran, good morning.
Morning.
A couple of important questions here. According to his alleged manifesto, he'd been planning this for years. He was practicing at a gun range. How was he not on law enforcement's or intelligence radar?
Well, you know, if he doesn't have a prior criminal history or no one has tipped law enforcement, it's sort of the needle in the haystack problem. They'll go back now, and I think what you're going to find is whether it's internet searches, a whole bunch of sort of things, if they had known about it, would have tipped them. But the problem is, again, unless there's an informant or a criminal history or some sort of call to law enforcement's attention, it's possible he was planning it and they wouldn't have known.
And he clearly wanted to be seen and noticed around the world, which is why he live streamed the massacre. You've said that you think it's time for these social media companies to maybe delay live streaming of videos. Why?
That's right. So, as you know, here at networks and cable, we're required by the FTC to have that capability to cut a feed if it's too violent, if it's bad words that we're not allowed to say on the air. And the social media companies got a legislative exemption from that. And I think it's time. If they can't delay it, then either they shouldn't provide the feed or they ought to have the capability to delay it.
Do you think it's feasible for Congress to act on it?
I do think so, and I think they ought to consider it. The notion that any portion of the 17 minutes, and they've done a real job at taking it down, but as we all know, once it's out there on the internet, it's almost impossible
it lives
to
forever. Even though there's appeals, please don't show it, please don't show it, there's always somebody that will show it. Do you also think it's a question again about soft targets? Do we need to reevaluate those?
Well, as you know,
how do we live?
Always after the fact, you'll see a greater police presence at places of worship. DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, is now doing active shooter training at soft targets. But, you know, you say to yourself, it's a sad world we live in that we have to do that. But I think we have to be conscious. These attacks are on the rise. We know that.
I want to turn to a different subject. This was covered on 60 Minutes last night, this mysterious illness that has been affecting